So this is a free website strategy session done in the open on a real Kiwi business that's volunteered. Idea here being you can take these lessons and these tips and tricks and apply them to your own business because they're universal. So on the chopping block today, we have Gilmore Studios. So this is Ruth Gilmore's business. And I mean, this is a example of a business that does a lot of things right with their website. So we are going to be quite critical here. We're going to focus on the things that can be improved while also talking about the things that are being done really, really well here. So first off, as a first impression, this landing page here is very unique. We've got a bit of motion in here. There's something that keeps you on the page. It tells a lot with very few words. The one thing I would comment on is a lot of these images in the background here are relatively low resolution, so it probably doesn't do your work justice, but it does captivate the person that lands on the page. So we have what this website does really well is it has a lot of structure in the way that it's building out pages based on the services provided. And so we can see this replicated at the top here as well, but under commercial photography, we've got all of these sitting as different sub pages. So individual pages for each of these, as well as for personal photography, individual pages for each of these. So that's fantastic in terms of, you know, making it really clear to the visitor the type of services that you offer, but also making it really clear to Google, as well as so both Google search and AI search, that if somebody is trying to find a commercial photographer that specializes in headshots and teams, that you're a pretty good example of somebody that they could reference because you have a website structure that is easy for Google and AI to understand. So this is really awesome to see the way that you've laid up this website. A few things here visually. This is difficult to read. Like I say, we're going to get into nitpicky territory, but the blue on the black with this orange color here is a little bit difficult contrast-wise, and we don't really get the indication that this is actually a testimonial sitting here. We just have this big bold heading. It floats. This here is also a slider, which I noticed did have a few bugs. I don't know if you just saw it, but sometimes we see a bit of text popping through. But there's no real indication that this was a slider when I initially looked at this. Some of these images are quite small. I reckon this is a cool effect. Just I would prefer to see the work alone as opposed to having the text sitting on top. Yeah, some pretty cool photos here in general. It's almost like we've got a really cool design here and we just need to let the photos do the talking a little bit more. And yeah, really cool design. And then we've got all of the sub pages listed at the bottom here, which are linked through, which is exactly what you want. And I mean, Ruth has set up this website really well and has kind of ticked a lot of boxes that I would normally kind of focus on in terms of, you know, we've got about pages, we've got a blog, we've got we've got individual landing pages for the sub services offered here, resources, all the contact options, links through to social media. So big gold star for that. That's a really well set up structure. The one thing I comment on here, and it's probably more like strategic, is what is the priority for the business? Kind of looks like, from a glance, that this is the type of business that just loves doing a bit of everything, that loves being across quite a few different services, that likes to do a good variety. But is there a specialty? So if there is, we would probably want to start refining down the focus here, because we have a lot of services on offer. And what that does psychologically for the viewer is if you are, say you are a specialist in commercial photography, but you also do everything else, it has this kind of effect where if you are looking for the best commercial photographer, which that may be, but you do everything else, it kind of devalues it slightly, if that makes sense. If you had a website where it looked like this, but it was all about commercial photography, if that was your bread and butter, in the eyes of the viewer who's coming to your website, you automatically hold more credibility because it's the only thing that you do and this is your bread and butter. So it's just one thing, like it's a strategy question more than anything else. Like, what is the priority here? Is the priority to kind of do everything because it's really fun and engaging work, or do you have something that's specific that you want to focus on? Because then if that's the case, we would want to build the website in that light so that we're making it really clear the type of work that you want, and it helps kind of qualify the type of people that end up coming through the website. But yeah, for the most part, we've got some great stuff happening here, really engaging website that is quite creative in the way that it shows photos. I would definitely try and lean a little bit more on the photography work that you've done and make those a little bit clearer, because you can't really see the photos here. Under here, you can't really see these photos very clearly because there's an overlay. Again, we have a little bit of the same problem here. And then we have this nice scroller here, which could be made a lot larger so people could see it and blow up these images quite a bit more. The other thing I kind of am a little bit probably again critical about is this blue overlay. There's points where that blue color is used throughout the website and it makes it quite hard to see. Another potential issue with this website is because we've got these lovely, amazing photos, sometimes we have a little bit of a slow load speed because of the actual size of the image. So your efficiency with, putting images on the website that have enough resolution to be seen really clearly, but also just bearing in mind that if your image is too large, it slows down the load speed on your website, which has a negative impact on the search engine optimization or SEO of your website, as well as just the general usability. But yeah, for like this is an example here on this page here where we've got that blue color being used for the pricing, and it just is the contrast doesn't work very well there. And again, I'm nitpicking. For the most part, these are pretty cool pages. I like having these full photos here. I think it's really sharp with the call to action sitting right below it. That's exactly what you want, making it really clear where you want the person to go to next by having buttons and call to actions in logical places. The other page I wanted to focus on here is, sorry, in the background you might hear my 10-month-old kid laughing, but we'll press on. I'll get through this video quickly so I can see what he's laughing about. But in the background here we have, on this page here we have Studio for Hire. Now this is really, really cool. I haven't actually seen the studio, but I do want to come in and see a roof. But this is obviously really, really sharp that you've got a space like this that you can rent out. It's really unique. I quite like the page. The only thing I would note here with this page is I think that the best photos are probably buried down the bottom here. So this is really cool. I want to see these a little bit larger, taking up more of the screen, where often we're showing just like a very horizontal, very landscape image here. And some of them are clipping in weird ways where we're just seeing pillows in that photo there. That photo there, you see a little bit more of what it's about, but it's got a dark overlay. Again, pillows in a corner. So it's nice, but I just think that we need to be a little bit more deliberate about showing the space, and even just having a whole like full width photo here. And this probably goes for the whole website, using the whole space on this page to show a photo, to show either the studio for hire or to show a photo shoot that you've done, but using all of the space you have at your disposal to show your work, as opposed to kind of trying to like sneak it in on the side here or putting a dark overlay over some images. That variety there, using these type of images, but then also having the full width images that are real clear to see, that there would definitely help in terms of, again, putting yourself in the shoes of somebody who's trying to understand whether this is the right studio for their needs. A simple full width photo would help establish a yes or no to that question. So moving across to the about page, I don't think I've looked at the about page yet. Yeah, really cool to see the team there, about the mission, and yeah, love it. This is perfect. This is exactly what you want to see, like a little bit about each photographer, particularly like if you're working with a business and they're like, hey, we're going to send Holly out to your shot. Another layer to this would be like, here's Holly's bio, and you send a link to Holly's page on your website, so they get to know who the photographer that's coming on site is. Like, what do they look like first and foremost, so they can be identified, and what do they specialize in. So another little, I suppose, 1% there is to have individual pages for each of your photographers, and then have a little bit more information specifically about them. And then that's the type of space that they might want to own as well, where they add their own bio, they add some of their work. And so if you're like, yeah, like I say, if you're sending one of your team out to a site, you can also say, hey, check out a little bit of what Holly's all about. Here's a link to her bio page. Again, it's a small thing that just is a 1%er. But yeah, for the most part, there's a lot that's done right on this website. I really like it. I really like how it is. Obviously, we've just got some great material to work with the photos that you've got here. Got the booking form here. This is potentially a little bit confusing. This section here, job type descriptions for commercial work. And again, we've got that blue color there, which is quite hard to read at times, and you're having to squint a little bit for that. So I would just consider potentially using a better contrasted color there. It's a good level of detail that you're getting out of these forms here. Some of it, yeah, just being, it's a little bit confusing what this means. I'm assuming that refers to the job type up above. But I'm assuming if somebody is filling out this form, they're a pretty well qualified lead because they've taken the time to actually, they've taken 5 minutes to fill this out and think about what they want, which is absolutely perfect. And I imagine when you get leads through this form, which I'd be curious to know how many you do, they are pretty warm and likely to convert into actual paying clients. Yeah, again, I've said it before, but I don't think this blue works very well on that white, but I'm nitpicking. The other thing that I just wanted to touch on quickly is I've had a look through the wider kind of footprint of this business. I see that we have some Google reviews here. So we've got 22 Google reviews. We've also got a lot of recommendations on Facebook as well. So 30 odd recommendations there. I'd love to pull these through to the website. Like you can get little widgets that consolidate both your Facebook and Google reviews into one place. And then whenever you get new Facebook or Google reviews, they're automatically updated on your website. So it'd be cool to show these a little bit more, both Google and your Facebook reviews. And then potentially, if you really wanted to be a bit extra about it, treating like your social media posts as a bit of a content flywheel for stuff you can then add to your website. So anytime you're adding a new wedding post on Facebook, you could then add a new wedding blog on your website, tag it as like wedding photography, and then add that to your landing page for weddings, which I believe is, yep, you've got one. So just showing like a bank of examples of the work that you've done. I'm just checking that you're not already doing that. So you've got some recent shoots here, which is great. That's amazing. But yeah, using the ones that you're posting on Facebook is just more content that you can repurpose and add to the bank here. Yeah, that's another good point. So we've got as seen in. So you might have a bunch of a bunch of like publications where your work has appeared, or you've got like organizations and businesses that you're regularly trusted, like that you are trusted with their photography, and having that as a credibility strip on your homepage. So as seen in or trusted by, and having the logos of people that you work with on your homepage is just another layer of credibility that you can kind of stack on top here. So we have a few testimonials showing through here. I'm not sure where these are getting updated from, but like I say, I think it is a good kind of move to get both Google and Facebook recommendations and reviews, as they help directly with your findability on Google as well. And then you can feed them through automatically to your website. So sorry, I jumped through a few different topics there when I was looking at this one. Just finding more stuff as I go here. Great to have the FAQs as well. These are quite powerful for, providing helpful information for the viewer, but also they often get referenced by AI. That is slowly changing now, but they are still very relevant. All the common questions that you get asked about a specific service, add to the page as well. It helps, like I say, the user as well as Google and AI reference, up-to-date, correct information. Fantastic website in general. A lot done really, really well, and just a few other things to add that would kind of top it all off. Another consideration I had here was how we could be quite tactical with the new pages that we make. I can see that there's obviously a lot of these landing pages for specific services, which is fantastic. We've already talked about whether we want to prioritize them based on the type of work that you want to get, or whether you want to continue to be quite diverse in the type of work offered. But another place that we can look at for a little bit of direction is like doing a keyword search like this. So this brings up what people actually search in Google. What I'll do here is I'll just make this slightly larger so you can see it here. And then it shows the average searches per month in New Zealand. And so we have generic ones like photographer for wedding photo shoot, newborn photographers. So if there was an area that you really liked, you could just name a page called newborn photographers and then create content about that, which you may have already done. I'm not too sure. But then we've got stuff like this, like elopement photographer. So if you made a page called Elopement Photographer and then made that whole page about that, you had it in your title tag for your page, and the whole thing was themed towards elopement photographer, then the likelihood is you probably get quite a few viewers that are looking for that specific service. Yeah, that specific service. There's 210 people per month looking that up. And we could see the competition here low. So that's an easy one that you could kind of like use to get a bit of website strategy to get some unique leads coming through. And then we have some other stuff like real estate photography, professional headshots. So stuff you're already covering off, but there might be little snippets in here that you go, that's interesting. Artwork photographer, that's something that we would love to do. And if you just created a page for it, then you would start to get some of this traffic coming through. So that's kind of how we think about using keywords and what people actually type into Google quite strategically, and plucking out the services in here that might fit with your specialty, and then adding a new page about that specific thing. And then, yeah, hopefully with a bit of checking and a bit of work, appearing in Google results for those services. So hopefully that makes sense. A bit of a longer video, but lots to talk about with this one. Lots of good stuff. But yeah, if you want to have your website and business nominated for a friendly roast, or in this case was a lot of positive stuff, feel free to leave. I've got a link in the bio below. Leave your website URL and I'll add you to the list, and we'll do a website autopsy on your site. Cheers.